All right, we are back with our real thoughts.
It's a new day in America.
New day.
Or night, or apocalypse.
Or upside down. I think we're in the upside down.
We are in the upside down. I think that's...
I think, without even realizing it, I think we're wearing appropriate shirts.
Oh no, this was intentional.
That was intentional?
I felt Koopa was the best way to go.
Just business as usual for us. I want to create a safe space. We'll still make political jokes here and there, but I just want a place for you to go and be happy.
We are still on the air.
Yes.
For now. So we're not in V for Vendetta territory yet, where the Gestapo punches us in the face and says, "Who's laughing now, funny man?" So okay, whatever. Enough of this darkness. What are we doing?
Actually, the more I think about it, I want to say I got this from someone at a convention recommended this. And I was like, oh, that'd be good. I can't believe I haven't talked about it. And then after everything has happened, I'm like, actually, this is kind of a perfect movie to talk about, an interesting one. Let's talk about Patch Adams. And I'm really interested. Oh, I hate this movie too. It is Greg Sestero's best role. But
I always forget too.
He apparently had a much bigger scene too.
The room just is so in everybody's public consciousness, or that. That mind when you think of Greg Sestero, but I always forget about Patch Adams.
Yeah, he has this little part, no lines or anything, but he originally had lines. But no, I think this is an interesting movie to talk about because the ideas behind the real person are quite fascinating.
This was a common problem with, God rest his soul, Robin Williams' films. I love Robin Williams, he's a great comedian, it's not a judgment on him, but the movies he chose always had a great message, and I love that. I appreciate that. I have no problem with the message, but the way they're done, it's so hokey
schmaltzy. The music plays. They're very formulaic. And, I kind of feel if you really want these kind of messages
There's a reason Good Will Hunting is one of his best films, because it's the same kind of, message of overcoming difficulties, but it lacks that kind of it doesn't feel as manufactured like a home. I feel like Robin Williams movies are almost like Hallmark card films or Hallmark movies.
Well, when he was in the good mood, then he'd go through sort of the bad mood where he'd do 1 hour photo, insomnia, death to Smoochie and stuff.
Well,
and
then
kind of get back to
that's a completely different. I'm not counting those in this list.
But he kind of did that back and forth. They were mostly the inspirational stuff. And then he would kind of go into the whoa.
But that was the post Good Will Hunting phase. Mm-hmm. I feel like somehow with that film, he got into this kind of I can stretch myself and do these things. I thought it was very interesting. I'm not saying all of those darker films he did are great, but I certainly think they're interesting. I would watch them way more than I ever would Patch Adams or Bicentennial Man.
I will say that. I don't like Death to Smoochie, but I would gladly watch that over Bicentennial Man.
There was a phase where every Robin Williams film you saw, with the exception of Hook, which was nice because, even though it's not a perfect film, it's its own thing. But almost every Robin Williams film you saw was either Good Morning Vietnam or Dead Poets Society or both.
Yeah.
And this definitely falls into that category.
And, but what's so interesting about it is that doing this movie forced me to do research on the real guy. Looks nothing like Robin Williams, is quite a giant. This guy, he looks like if Ed Wynn was still alive, through this Mark Twain mustache or something, just this big goofy guy, but he is,
he looks like some sort of performer at a theme park.
Yeah, but
doing a magic show or something.
Well, that's kind of what he does, but his idea was that hospitals should be very positive places, and that the more positive energy there is around you, the better you'll feel and the faster you'll recover, and can even help save lives. And I'm not against that. Honestly, when you hear him really sit down and talk about it, it's this is fascinating, and he himself is not a fan of the movie. He tried to promote when it came out.
Nor should he
what happens, but he didn't like the film. And he said a big part of that is that, they focus on one thing. They focus on the clown element. He's like, that's not all there is. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to the comforting. There's a lot more to the medicine. There's a lot more to all this. And of course, the things that we point out in the review, like there was no love interest, and it was a guy that died, and it was a best friend, which is just so awful.
Which apparently there's interviews where he said his friend would have just laughed at that.
Yeah,
like, you're a woman now.
And now a woman, a love interest and stuff. Like, apparently this guy had a really good sense of humor, so it makes me feel a little better. But it's still like, what the hell, movie? That's awful.
And you know what? In a dumb way, I almost forgive those gross historical inaccuracies because I don't think it affects the message as much. What does bother the fuck out of me is that scene where it's just like, haha, I'm gonna steal all the materials from the hospital. I'm like,
who
does that?
That was just like...
And I remember staring at that going, I'm like, I will bet you $1 million the real Patch Adams never did that.
He's doing it in a goofy way.
Yeah,
he's got the person on the stretcher covered up and holding all the stuff. He's got the mask.
A doctor would do. Yeah, and the movie plays this as a comedic moment, and I'm like, no, that's something a psychopath does. That's robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, I'm just gonna take out of this hospital as if, like, it's just magically replaced instantly. Like, nobody's gonna be like, what the fuck happened to our materials?
Because as we all know, like, hospitals are so well funded. They have so much material, so many doctors. I mean, come on. And and it pisses me off because he's a doctor in the movie.
No, that blew my mind. I have a hard time, So that one scene pissed me off the most. And then, the friend thing changing into a woman and love interest is dumb. It's screenwriting cliches 101. If you ever want to teach a class in how not to write a screenplay, Patch Adams is a great example.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
The other cliche that drove me nuts, because I'm like, yeah, I'm sure Patch Adams sat on a cliff and a butterfly floated up to him and he reached up into the sky and was like, yes, and the music swelled, and I'm just like, fuck this.
I just realized something. You wouldn't be able to do this because I think A, too many people like the movie, and B, too many people would connect it to Robin Williams with his passing and everything. But wouldn't this be a fascinating remake? What if they remade this more like what the real person was like?
Oh, I'd kill it. I'd kill to see that because
you kill it? What a weird thing to say. I'd kill it.
I'd kill this movie. I'd kill to see that because if you did a I'm gonna say Oscar bait style, where we're gonna go for kind of a quasi-historical movie that examines the real person and what happened, like Imitation Game or something, which has its own cliches and stuff, but more serious along those lines, like, yeah, these are the real issues behind, like, here's pros and cons, and this is what he did, and, these are some of the benefits, and maybe this is what he was up against. But, you know what, that's part of my problem is, I understand because there was pushback at the time, even when the film was released, from some doctors who were just like, we shouldn't have to be clowns and this and that, But I don't think that was his point. It's that hospitals need to be a little more inviting. And the funny thing is, since then, I've seen that. Like, I've seen hospitals that have the money. That's a big issue, particularly in this country. But hospitals that, have the money to do that, rich hospitals, have tried to go for more of a foresty feel and open and not the same just plain sterile, white colors. Yeah. And, the kids' wards have, painted murals. So I feel, though, that the villain, is so cartoonishly over the top.
How dare you get us down to that level? Those measly
You
patients.
want to make us like that? We're going to make doctors out of you.
And they're, all standing in a wall.
You know what it is? It's, he's more like a character out of Jaws. Like, you're going to be soulless, like Doll's eyes. He was so cartoonishly evil that it sucked any reality out of it for me. I'm like, okay, this is a little much. And I start to then question the other side, which I kind of agree with, which is we need to treat the body as a whole, mind, body, and spirit. And it can't just be about only the body. Because they've proven this. If you're unhappy, clinically depressed, all these other things, and miserable, you're not going to heal as fast. So, but that's a great argument, and it's all sucked out of it. I can't take it seriously because it's just showing this in such a cartoony way that I'm like, well, now you're making me question what you're calling the positive side of this. Because I just can't believe how ridiculous this is. Like, and then it's like these Christian exploitation films, like, where the atheist is so ridiculously evil or smug or something.
I was just thinking of that too. I was kind of thinking of those Christian.
It's like a movie Brad Jones would review. This is the doctor equivalent.
Yeah,
of that. That doctor is the Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah,
God's not dead.
He's the atheist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking of that because, a lot of these Christian movies, I mean, we were raised, Roman Catholic and stuff, we're not anti-religion or anything, so that we know a lot of these films have, they're coming from a place that kind of wants to do good, but then it's sort of being manipulated in a way and sort of blackened and poisoned, and it's turned into something that's actually going to do more harm. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think when you do have that cartoon, that's one of the reasons why it's so hard now, I think, to kind of talk about this movie, because this movie does want to paint the very black and white, good guy, bad guy thing in a time where a lot of people want to do that really hardcore right now, and that's kind of what got us here to begin with. But then, do you just become passive or whatever? And it's one of those things where it's like, it's with this film, you do not need to do that, and I think it hurts it when you do that, because there's some interesting ideas that come from a place that seems very simple, but it can get lost so easily. You need an interesting, complicated way to show it, a deep way to show it.
It's just so dumb. It's a fucking hospital. There's no good guys and bad guys. There's just guys. And I know doctors can be smug and have terrible bedside manners, but at the end of the day, they still have an interest in curing you. Like, it just went so over the top with it that I'm just like, why is this cowboys and Indians all of a sudden?
Well, or
cowboys and Native Americans tumbling in. I'm
sorry. But I think there's something to, I sort of look at this and I see them going, back and forth between like, we need to do something to help the kid. We need to do something to, to these poor patients and stuff. And the bedside manner, like you said, which I found out, that actually is one of the few things they got right. They actually did not have very good bedside manner back then. From what I'm hearing. That I didn't know. But
there's some doctors that still don't. They just come in and it's like, yeah, do this, we'll do that, and then get the fuck out.
But that's something, again, that's the fault of this movie, is that because it's so cartoonish that when you get to something that is correct, you have a hard time believing it. It doesn't create a world where it feels believable. And I think that really hurts what could be a great message and some really great ideas. You can look the dude up. He's actually trying to put together, I think he called it a hospital, I think, where he wants it to be sort of like this very positive, upbeat place, and he wants to see if that'll help people get better faster. And I think it could. I don't think, like he says, being a clown isn't everything. You gotta know your medicine. You have to treat every patient, a little differently, and you have to be good at that, and you have to be trained in that.
Well, that's another problem with the movie. I never got the sense that he was even a doctor.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. All I saw was he's annoying the other doctors.
All I saw was Robin Williams, and I'm not throwing all of that on Robin Williams, because if the script doesn't give him any scenes where he's really doctoring, what are you supposed to do? But yeah, I just came out of it, was like, wait, to seem more like a clown than a doctor to me. And I would imagine that to get through medical school, you have to know something.
And one of the few performances in this film where I was really like, man, is this guy just doing his all with a part that's really nothing. Philip Seymour Hoffman in this. Another God rest his... Man, there's so many dead people in this the more I think about it. But
this year alone.
Yeah.
Fuck 2016.
Fuck 2016, yeah. With him in this, he has a scene where he's like, I said that you were cheating because how can you possibly do this? How can you... I study 3 times as much as you do, and you barely open a book and stuff. How can you possibly pass this? How can you possibly do this well? And it's never explained. It's just, where it's like, that wasn't concerned because he actually is a brilliant mind. Yeah.
There are people for who some things come easier, but the way the film portrayed it, I'm like, no, Philip Seymour Hoffman's right. We never do see him ever Like, so
that's what Phil Seymour Hoffman sees, and then what the movie sees. The movie's got to see how he does this, and
like
maybe he does pick up things very fast. Could be, but they never explain that. It's never looked into.
He just was such a prick in this movie. I just wanted to slap him across the face, and I'm like, that should not been. And I like Robin Williams too. I don't want to slap Robin Williams across the face, but this movie just did nobody any favors.
Well, and that's kind of like we talked about with those old environmental films like Ferngully and stuff like that, where it's
Toxic love.
They're doing such a terrible job with what's supposed to be a good message that you actually want to retaliate against that message.
You just want to club a baby seal.
Yeah.
I have never wanted to destroy so much Arctic wildlife than after an episode of Captain Planet.
And I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, you say Patch Adams, people know what it is. I mean, they know that it's based on true stories, a Robin Williams film. So, I mean, hopefully it did some good, but I feel like this could have been, explosive if it was done really well.
We got pushback. I remember in the comment sections of people were just like, I don't get it. Why it's a good message. And I'm like, separate that from execution, because I'm not arguing that Patch Adams, or some of the messages behind it are bad. I'm arguing that the execution sucked. They're two different things. We're not saying, oh, well, that's bad, what he wanted to do. Some things in that movie were bad because they didn't even really happen. But, so...
and I'm remembering, we were talking about the cartoonish bad guy, and he has a line I really remember. He says, you're a man of a brilliant mind, and like most brilliant men, you feel the rules don't apply to you. And I thought, that's actually kind of a fascinating line, because there are a lot of and that can be kind of a good thing or a bad thing, we don't, but it was this awareness that this is a person who's brilliant, but you need to kind of play by our rules, take a step back and stuff, and I thought maybe this will be an interesting person, but no, they just turn him into a cartoon character. And that's such a shame, because would have been interesting to see these two minds that think very differently but are very capable and are both very brilliant kind of butting heads and trying to figure this out. That would have been really fascinating.
Nope.
They don't do that.
Honk, honk. Oh, Patch!
Yeah, he's just the angry dean from every college movie. So it's one
You're
of those...
a loser, McFly.
Yeah, it's just all those cliches.
Actually, I thought that principal was more realistic than
that guy.
I've known principals like that. And then the fucking ending with of course you need a courtroom scene.
Courtroom.
That's the other screenwriting cliches 101. Make sure it ends somehow in a courtroom. Make sure there's an applause.
Making the inspirational speech. The sappy music plays. Yeah. No,
and then, my favorite, if you want a good time, go type in Roger Ebert review Patch Adams. It's one of Ebert's best. And the way he ends it just plays up the ridiculousness of it and how sappy it is and how cliche. He's like, and wouldn't you know it, dear reader, the children march in with the little clown noses and the applause. The sarcasm dripping from it is a work of art.
But both, I forget if that's when Siskel was going through, the illness and stuff, but I remember he really hated it too. And his written review was very funny.
Siskel was in and out of hospitals at that point, so...
Well, and I want to say the TV show review was pretty funny too, but I can't remember. But I remember they were both kind of having fun mocking this film. They were just kind of like, oh good, you're getting this too. I want to be sure it's not just me.
Though not as fun as Godzilla, where they were complaining that they didn't get eaten by the monster.
Yeah, so you gotta have us in there. Come on, have us get squashed. What's wrong with you? By the way,
is one of the greatest ways to retaliate.
Brilliant.
I love it when people troll, and I'm just like, no, let me show you how it's done. This is what you could have gone with. If you're gonna insult me, let's go to work. Okay, I'll help you out here.
Yeah. Teach the troll how to troll you. I'm trying to... I would say definitely go check out The Real Person, because I'm not gonna say you're gonna agree with everything. I'm not always sure I agree with everything either, but it's worth looking into. It's definitely something thing,
I don't think anything on the planet should be called a hospital. unless you're making a horror movie set in a carnival or something. Send you to the hospital.
It's just hard to say,
Carnival
too.
would have a location like that.
And I'm sure that's like part of it. You're not supposed to take it too seriously or whatever. But I'm like, I'm kind of with you. I just feel like there's a better.
So I don't have to agray with anything, but that's the
better
thing.
marketing
It's
there.
complicated issues, none of which are explored in this movie.
Yes. Okay, before I go, I actually forgot about that. I forgot to show you this too, Rob. All right, so when we
I think he's taking his pants off, folks.
when we did our real thoughts of Devil, somehow we got talking about, I don't even know how we got onto it, but we got talking about combining Pokemon with Schindler's List and call it Pika's List, and we just kept going and going. Well, at the last convention I was at, somebody actually put together a poster for Pika's List.
Yes!
There it is.
Yes!
Oh, yeah. And I just thought...
This is happening. Spielberg, eat your heart out.
And my favorite, the little tagline there, gotta save them all. So,
yes!
Yeah, I just had it, and he did...
Ooh, and it's an Academy Award winner for Best Original Score, Pokemon theme.
Yep, that's on there too.
Wait, did he... Hold on, let me see.
Oh, no, I don't think he went in.
Oh, no, wait.
Oh, wait, did he?
No, they're actual, like, German...
Yeah, I want to see, like, Squirtle.
Yeah,
and
it would've been-
stuff like that.
Okay, 99% near flawless A+. I would have just put the Pokemon names in here in the list, but...
This is already pretty damn bright. He had to,
But that's
like...
amazing.
He had to draw the Pokemon hand
it.
and the glove
Well,
over that,
we're
over the
critics.
names. I mean, that's
Dude,
really difficult.
We're critics.
Yeah, that's true. That's
we
what
gotta rip apart
But,
things, even if we love them.
Yeah, no,
But-
he showed me that, and I'm just like, oh, dude, I
That's
gotta...
fine. We can laugh. We can still laugh. It's gonna be okay.
We can even laugh at the Holocaust right now.
Ew.
Yeah, you know,
Apropos.
the first one, yeah. So, the rehearsal. Sorry. So, okay. I'm supposed to be a happy spot. Happy spot. This will be our hospital.
Happy thoughts. I think a lot of us are going to the hospital for the next 4 years.
You know what? Maybe it's not so crazy. A hospital sounds really good right
maybe.
now.
Yeah. Is there booze involved? I'm in.
So, with that said, definitely go check that out. Like, it's an interesting read. It's a very, very
I
interesting
thought
read.
you were talking about Patch Adams.
No, well, yes, the
No,
guy,
I mean the movie.
not the movie.
Yes.
So, yeah, guys, that's about it, and we shall see you next time. We're all mad here. Take care.
Later.